Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Com121 Introduction to Mass Media. Professor Harris here, and today we're going to be talking about how to complete your Adobe Premiere Pro project from front to back. So, first thing you're going to do is write out that communication objective. Make sure that you've got a strong statement, a strong communication objective that again relates to who you are, something about your life, something you want to communicate to audiences, right? And then you're going to take that communication objective. You're going to write that list of 10 things out. Hopefully, you've already made that list and have an idea of how to execute your shots. I've already gone and shot mine and then transferred those files to my computer. You're going to need to transfer your files to the computer that you're working on, whether that be the ones in the lab or on your personal computer. I'll leave links in the description of this video as to how to do that. And if I don't or forget, feel free to Google it. How do I get the videos off my Android to my Mac or whatever it might be? So I've got my assets here. I'm ready to start putting together my project. The instructions say 10 to 15. I've got clear up to 26 different videos, I think. But you can watch how I work, what my process is, and I'm going to teach you how to use Adobe Premiere Pro now. So the first step to working with Premiere Pro is obviously launching it. We'll go ahead to our Launchpad and hit launch. In the Premiere Pro 2023 version, the 2022 and 21 versions look similar. And by the time you're watching this, we may be on the 24 version. So I hope they stop changing it and making it look different. But here we are. This is going to be our splash screen. This is where we start setting up our project. Best way to do that is come up here to the left and hit New Project. And over here on the left side, it's by default going to say Untitled. We're going to name this, I'm going to name this my name, Prof. Harris. Maybe do like morning, Prof. Harris morning. Awesome. And then I'm going to go ahead and just come down here and click Create. I don't have to click anything else. Okay, and now we're greeted with the Media Composer interface. It should look similar to this. We should have 3 larger distinct windows and 1 smaller. If it doesn't look like this, then you're not in the correct workspace. The way to go to the editing workspace is to come up here to Window, Workspaces, and then make sure you're selected on Editing. Then your workspace is going to look similar to mine, and that's going to be the best for this project going forward. Down here in the bottom left, we have where we add and import media to our project. This is where all your video files are going to be. This is where all your assets are going to live as you build out your project. So let's get some media added into my projects. Again, I have my Premiere Pro assets here on my desktop. Makes things simple when I'm trying to add things. If you want, you can like drag select stuff, or you could select, come on. Why is this? There we go. You could select individual clips and add them one at a time. What I'd recommend you do, number up your files in an order that they're supposed to appear, similar to the way you made your list, and then grab all the videos you're going to use and drag them over and into this little bin area on your project. That's going to import all the files. And for some reason, by default, Premiere Pro decides to randomize the order. So now we can see we have 18, 26, 1. To reorganize, we can just select this name once, and now they're in the correct order, 1 through the rest. So now we've got all our video assets added into Premiere. So the way you're going to start editing, and I'm going to walk through this very slowly so it makes as much sense to you as possible. You're going to double click the video from your little library here. It's going to load that video in what's called the source monitor. This source monitor is what you're going to use to actually view the video clip and make sure that what you want is actually in the shot. So for instance, I'm going to hit play on this. Okay, so I don't need all this front stuff, all this pause. There's nothing happening here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to grab just a little bit prior to, and I'm going to set this little in mark. This little in mark is going to tell Premiere where I want to start this video and where I want this video to end. So here's the out mark. So we'll play through the rest. I'll pause there, and then I'll add this little out mark. And now only this gray highlighted section of video is going to get added to my timeline when I click it here and drag it into my timeline. The first time you drag a video here into this window called your timeline, it's going to create a new sequence. This sequence by default is named the name of the first video that we added. So we added one, it made this sequence. Sequences hold all of the assets you load into your timeline into one designated instance. So what I can do is rename this. We'll call this morning version 1. This is my first version of all the videos I'm going to add to this timeline. So I could add in any random order all of these videos however I see fit. They're all going to be saved on this specific sequence. You can make multiple sequences, and when you double click them, it'll open up that different variations of your timeline and however other orientations you edited your project. So that's all set up for you. If you followed the steps to this point, you don't have to worry about project format and size and image size, because that should all be taken care of. As soon as you add it, it matches the frame rate, it matches the ratio and all these things. And when I added that video to my timeline, right, I added from here to my timeline, we see the video length appears. We also see this screen activates, because this screen is a representation of the videos within our timeline. This is our timeline, right? So we're seeing the videos actually play out on screen. Right now we're on the selection tool. This is the selection tool. This allows us to select different clips in our timeline, rearrange them, reorganize them in any way we see fit. If you ever make a change or do anything you didn't mean to or didn't want to, you can hit Command-Z or Control-Z on your keyboard until that change goes away. So again, one last time, you'll click a clip, double click it, it'll load in your source monitor. You'll find the points that you actually want to use for the project. So we'll put an in mark here. We'll play to the point we want to end the video. And we'll end it there. So I'll hit my out mark. Now my in and out marks have been set. Alternatively, if you don't want to click these little buttons here, you can hit I and O on your keyboard. That will serve the same function. Now we'll drag this clip down to my timeline, and we'll slowly start building out the timeline. There's this little scroll wheel on the bottom if you want to access your timeline. If it's too small or too big, you can grab one of these little dotted handles and zoom it out so you can see more of what's actually happening in your sequence. So now I have 2 videos added to my timeline. There we go. And I go and get Benji. Awesome. Let's talk about a few more features here while we're looking at the tools. These are your tools right here. We're going to cover only the essential ones. So the essential ones that you're going to want to understand is obviously the selection tool. The selection tool is, again, what allows us to move and manipulate clips within our timeline. If we want to reorder these, if we want to select multiples at the same time, we can do that. One thing that this does, and very similar to Adobe Audition, is that when we get to the end of a clip, it gives us this little overwrite handle, and we can select that, and we can shorten up the clip right here in our timeline. So we could make the clip shorter, and now there's less of this clip to be seen. Command-Z or Control-Z will undo that. Similarly, we could drag out. If there's more to the video, we could drag out more of that video so we reveal more of it. We can also shorten from the other side, so make it shorter off the front. So now there's black here. If there's no video, it's going to by default be black in our record monitor. And when you export, that blackness will still be there. You have to close the gaps to make sure that there is no black in your footage. Awesome. All right, so I'll hit Command-Z on that. And let me start building out my timeline, and we'll add a few more clips. So I'm going to load this one in my source monitor. My camera focus is all over the place. Let's shorten this up a little bit. Let's go spacebar is play. All right, crack it there. And then I can drag that clip down into my timeline and assemble. Now let's say that we had a longer clip and we wanted to, oh, this is a great example. Let's say we wanted to take the entirety of this clip. So we'll move the handle to the front, we'll hit I, or we'll hit the in mark, we'll move it to the back, we'll hit the out mark. Now when I add this video, it's gonna be the entire video. So I'll remove this egg shot that I put in there, drag this to the front. I have, at the beginning of this shot, there's not much, and then I break an egg. There's a long pause between this and when I break a second egg. So what we could do is we could use the split tool. If you remember the split tool from Adobe Audition, this is our razor tool. So we'll move our playhead to the point that we want to cut the clip in half. So I'll move it here, and then we'll move the clip a little bit further. We'll go there. So I'll split it here as well. And then what I'll do is I'll switch back to my selection tool, select the clip, and I can hit delete on my keyboard, and that will remove it from my timeline. Now if we watch this, we should have back-to-back egg breaks. So I break it, crack it into the pan, it's sizzling, and I crack the next one immediately after. Camera focus is all over the place with the shot. Awesome. So we have those two shots lined up, and let me add some more shots to my timeline and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've made a bunch of edits and additions to my project, and now I'm going to go through some areas where I have problems and some things that you need to know when you're working on your own projects. First of which, I should explain to you that there is a V1 layer and an A1 and an A2 and an A3, V3, V2, all of that. V stands for video. So this is my video. This top portion of these two clips is my video. The bottom is my audio. If you want to zoom in or out on these so that you can tell what you're doing within your timeline, you can do that. We can zoom in and zoom out using these little wheels here to help us determine and understand what shots we're looking at within our timeline. Same thing we can do with our audio. We can make our audio bigger so we can see these audio waves. These audio waves are obviously show us, well, they obviously show us that some of my clips were very loud. These white lines here indicate the audio level. So if we wanted to adjust the audio level on this specific clip, we could grab this little white line and slide it down, and it's measured in decibels, dB. So you just have to slide it, play with it, figure out what sounds good. Again, if you're trying to do your project, you can watch the audio meter here. If I click play, let's say we'll click play on this clip, we can see that my audio level stays between -6 and roughly -15 at the highest. So adjust your audio levels so that when they peak, that's the case. Okay, let's see that one a little bit high, so we can turn this down a bit. It's still really high. We can bring it down even further. Let's go there. We'll go back just a tad. It's the louder part. Now we can see that my audio isn't clipping. It's not going to hurt people's ears when they watch my project. So that's audio and video. I have some errors in my project that give me perfect opportunities to discuss other tools that we have here. We also have the pen tool. So if I come back here to this clip of me sipping coffee, my gracious wife who was filming this for me went ahead and said, okay, for the cue for me to sip the coffee. If I hit play here, we can hear that. Let me turn the volume up all the way. Okay. She says K, and it's very clear. You can hear that very clearly because she's right next to the mic. If I zoom in here with my pad, you can use this little guy down here to zoom in and out. If I zoom a little bit, I can see where that audio happens, where she says, okay. And I can go to the beginning of that, and making sure I'm selected on my pen tool, I can add a little dot in my audio line. I can add a little dot just before that too. When it says plus, you can add. And I could bring that audio way down, and then add another dot, and bring the audio back up so that we don't hear her say that okay line anymore. Let me add another one so I can put it here, move it. Oh, no, I'm supposed to move that down. So that goes down. I'll slide this just a little bit left, and I'll slide this just a little bit right. So now when I play through, the audio dips accordingly, and we don't hear my wife say okay anymore. Nice. Sweet. Just get that nice coffee sip. Perfect. So that's the split tool. That's one way we can use the split tool. The pen tool, I mean. That's one way we can use the pen tool to increase and decrease audio volume. Make sure that your selection tool is turned on if you want to adjust the clip's actual volume. All right, let's look at adding transitions now. We have something in our tool set that we can use. It's called our, let's see, if we come down to our effects. So you'll select this little arrow here, and we can go to effects. And then we get a bunch of different options in our effects. We can go audio transitions or video effects. We'll go video transitions and then dissolves. And we can find some dissolves we might want to use. Film dissolve is a good option. And when you add a transition in your project, you can see it either goes to one side or the other side, but you also have the option to center the dissolve so that the clip fades nicely in between both shots at the same time. So we can see that there's that nice fade effect. And there's a bunch of different video transitions that you can use. We have slides and wipes and pushes. all kinds of, even zoom, we even have zoom effects. So I encourage you to play around with these. Don't go too crazy. Your project should still make sense. If you add an effect, it should make sense with your narrative. Let's see, there was other clips in this project that need to be adjusted. For instance, I have a clip where the camera's orientation is filming in portrait rather than landscape. So how do you fix that? Well, this is what you're gonna do. Okay, so what we're gonna wanna do is make sure that we're selected on the correct clip. So we have this clip, it's slightly zoomed in, it's vertical, it's supposed to be horizontal. All we have to do is make sure, again, that our clip is selected and that our playhead is over top of it. We can come up here to Effects Controls, and that'll switch us off our source monitor, right? We have our source monitor where we've been loading clips. If we want to get back to where we're loading our clips, you can click on this name convention, or you could use this little drop-down arrow as well. But we'll switch off the source monitor to the Effects Controls, make sure we're selected on our clip, and then under Video, under Motion, we can select Rotate. Now we could rotate the clip directly here, or we could type in a value to make sure that it's accurate. Remember that it works in the normal degree range. So if I set it to -90, we can see this clip is now, oh, I just screwed up. Let me go back. Where are we at here? Walking clip. We can see that the clip is now corrected, and we can, it's the correct direction, right? We've solved that issue that we had before. I have another clip with the same issue further down the road, right, let's see, here. So we'll do the same thing. We'll make sure we're selected on this clip. We'll make sure we're selected in rotation, and we can rotate this clip to true 90. And if you're struggling to get it there, you can just double click and type it in, and now that clip is correctly oriented. Sweet. All right, let's look at the rest of this timeline, and we'll zoom out. One of the things I need to add, because the classroom was empty at the time, I need to add back in audio of people talking. I'd like to add that audio back in. We heard that with the audio project, and I have that in my Premiere assets. So we'll go to, which one was it? Classroom Ambiance. And we'll add Classroom Ambiance audio to our clip. Now if I hit play, we're going to hear people talking. So we can hear things are very overblown. So I'm going to turn this down quite a bit. Let's get started. Okay. And they're all talking at times that I don't actually want them to talk. I need them to be talking when I open the door, right? To add to the effect that they've been chatting with each other. So I'm going to slide this over, and I'm going to stop it right at my blue line. You can use your blue line or your beginning of your clips as a reference point. Let's slide it just a tad over more. Okay, so now it's still really loud, but what we can do, and this is a neat little trick, is we can go back to the pen tool, and we can add little audio markers. And I'll add, let's see, doors fully open at this point. We can lower this, and now we have a nice steady audio ramp to that point. So it'll go like this. And now it sounds like we've got a classroom of people talking. So then I start talking. So now I'm going to add another point, and I'm going to add a second point, and we'll bring the audio down shortly after I say, okay, let's get started, guys. Let's get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Com. And now it looks and sounds like the students are talking at the beginning. Let's get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to. And it looks very realistic, right? This is sound design as well as video editing. What we can also do is make sure that the audio ends at the same time as our video, so I can grab this and make sure that my video doesn't have black at the tail end. I'm also going to add a dissolve. So we'll set back to our source monitor, and we'll go to, click down here, we'll go to Effects, we'll go to Video Transitions, Dissolve, and we'll do Film Dissolve, and I'll add that Film Dissolve at the back end of my clip here. Today we're going to be talking about gaming and the digital sphere. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the... Let's make it longer. If you want to make your effects longer or your transitions last longer, you can grab the effect, you'll select it, highlight it, and then you can drag that effect out. Additionally, I'm going to add the audio, make the audio fade. So as soon as this starts, it also starts to fade the audio. Let me drag that down. So here we go. Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Com121, Introduction to Mass Media. Today we're going to be talking about gaming in the digital sphere. And there we go. We have the end of my project. Now, I have 26 different clips in your project. You don't have to do that. I decided to go way too hard for this assignment. If you want to go way too hard as well, you're welcome to. But let's look at how to export this project now. To export our project, we're going to come up here to the top left and we'll do File and we'll come down to Export Media. This screen's going to load. It's going to prompt us to give this a name. So we'll call this Morning with Prof. Harris. Professor Harris of the future jumping in here, just to address that I forgot to mention the location. This is super important. You can select this blue and then choose location where if it's your video is actually going to export to. I highly recommend just doing the desktop for simplicity's sake. So you'll go ahead and hit save on that, and that'll save the location, and we'll proceed. It's going to ask us our bit rate. We're going to make sure that matches. Format H.264 would be preferable. If it's not MP4, that's probably more than likely okay because YouTube accepts a wide variety of formats when you upload to YouTube. So all we have to do now is just hit export, and it's going to go ahead and export our whole project. Now this is a shorter project, so it's going to take a shorter amount of time. My project is, I think it said 1 minute, like 54 seconds, something like that. Yours does not need to be that long. It would be nice to see you try and achieve maybe a minute. Again, I put in extra effort to this project, effort that you don't have to, but it would be really awesome to see you guys put in some effort for it. All right, this video is now exporting, and we're going to go ahead and launch YouTube, and I'm going to show you how to upload a video to YouTube. So we'll open our Google Chrome. Once you're ready to upload to YouTube, you can go ahead and head straight over to YouTube. Make sure you're signed into your proper account, and then you'll select this button here, which is Create. You'll select Upload. Then all you have to do is take the video here, drag it, and drop it. It'll start uploading. Pro tip, don't exit before it finishes uploading. Depending on how big your video it is, it could take a little bit longer. But it needs to upload, and then once it's done uploading, it's going to start processing in different qualities. So once this is finished uploading, you don't have to stay on this screen. But as far as your name convention should go, it should be something meaningful. Morning, I don't know, I guess I liked the name before, never mind. Morning with Professor Harris. Let's add a period here, space, and we'll put the class for it, Com121, right? You can add a picture thumbnail. Next, you'll hit no, it's not made for kids, and you'll hit next, next, next. And this is the most important part. Do not select private. You need to select unlisted or public. I prefer you select public. And then all you have to do is copy this link, hit publish, and you're good to then go to the Canvas page, reply to your initial post, and just paste your link to your YouTube video there. All right, that's pretty much all you have to do. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly at my email, or you can talk to me in class. See you next time, guys. Bye.